Hello everyone, and welcome to the unboxing and initial setup of the HillMiles MileCity 1. And this is an e-bike that is specially designed to target two important features, and that is to be low cost and to be high quality. So this e-bike should provide you with all the things that you need from an e-bike, but keep the cost down. And you might say that that's not possible, but I'm going to demonstrate you that in the full review of this bike. Today we are going to unpack it, do the initial install, check it out, see how this thing builds up, and after that you are going to see the full review of it. To unpack the bike, it's very easy. I highly recommend you to get a scissors, not a cutter. As you can see, most of the bike is packed with this yellow tape. This yellow tape is just paper tape, so you can strip it up. It's very easy to remove it. And in the box you are also going to get that, which is the saddle and some other stuff there that we are going to check out a bit later. So to remove things here, you are just going to cut the zip ties, but be careful, because if you want to do something like this, push the scissor here, you are going to push the scissor into the frame and you are going to scratch it. Here is there is no frame because it's a wooden plank, so it's not a problem, but you can always do this trick, go sideways, cut it, and there is no scratch on the frame. Of course, as I've told you, there is no frame there on this bike because it's a city bike with low frame on that part. Nonetheless, you should be careful when you are doing that, because it will be not nice to scratch your bike while you unpack it, your new bike. So always search a place where you can cut the zip ties without actually scratching anything else. While on these parts where you only have the yellow sticky tape, which is paper, you just break it with your hands. And here we have zip ties, not a problem to remove them, they all go out. As you can see, very well packaged in, a lot of things here just to hold it safe during its transport. And look at that, we have a nice wooden bike. I'm kidding. It's interesting to have such kind of packaging. So they have protected the frame during transport, and they also use this protection that holds the frame stiffer when it's traveling to actually hook up the other accessories with zip ties and other foam pads onto that plank of wood. Actually, a novelty when it comes to packaging, and let's be honest, I like it. It's ecological. You don't use something strange that you throw away. It's a natural piece of wood, so good going there. Lots of zip ties, but they come out easy out with the scissors. And foam pads. And look at this thing, how nice it looks. And it's not unpacked yet, but the frame is very sleek. And I'm going to do a bit of magic because it takes a lot of time to remove all of that packaging. And look at this. And bam, just like that, we are left with this thing. So we have the wooden plank, and we get here a mudguard that is very nicely packed in with protected foam, with paper tape, and with plastic bag. Here's the mudguard. It also has a safety zip tie here. We get a rear rack which is again packed really nice, but you can take it out pretty easy. No instruments there, only using fingers. This is paper tape, easy to break out. And it makes a nice popping sound when you are breaking it, which I actually enjoy. Okay, and that's out, and we also have a red refractor there. And we still have here the seat post, so let's check it out. Very nice, a seat post with a refractor built onto it. And it's a very big, very squishy saddle, so this should provide some nice cushioning for your soft parts. We also get this big cardboard box, and inside we get a lot of stuff such as a toolkit. Lots of happy tools there. Hopefully they are all out of metal made. We get a manual, and we get a lot of other stuff such as a part that we need for the stem, the handlebar stem. So this should be actually important to be able to install the bike. And we get the pedals that we also need, and look at that, we also get a throttle, and now things really start to get nice. So we are also going to install that. Skewers, we are going to prepare skewers. I really love skewers, they are very tasty. Nope, that is for installing the front wheel. Very nice, we have a quick release front wheel, and in this bag here we have something that in some countries from the Europe it's mandatory to have, so they have been nice to include it. It's a bell, simple bell, works nice, very important. And we also get a front white refractor, which is again important in some European countries. In here I don't know what we have, but we are going to check it out. So let's remove it from the packaging. We get something that looks like this. Very interesting part. I don't have any kind of idea where this should be, but I'm starting to guess that it has something to do with the rear rack and its position. But that is just a guess for now. We are going to see that just a bit later. You know that traditionally I like to install these bikes with the provided tools, so I'm going to use the toolkit here. And hopefully I have here everything that I need to install the bike. So let's see, inside we get a hex key that's down there. So one hex key, another hex key. We get a combined Torx with a screwdriver, two fixed keys, and another hex key. So a lot of hex keys. So first thing first, I'm going to remove this screw here. So let's see which of these keys will fit. So this one fits, and you are going to remove that entirely actually. And when this is loose, it's not loose because you need to remove it. So you can take this cap out, and now it's out. And then we should check on this part here. So we need to remove this biological part from this bike. I'm actually going to remove this. So I'm going to release the seat pipe, the seat post. So we get a nice piece of wood. We can hold this for later, use it for a project, or do some barbecue with it. Right, so the seat post is out, and it's installed reverse because this is the part where the seat is going to be held up. So I'm going to put the clamp, perfect, and here's everything is loose because we need to actually install the proper parts. So here you have a bearing that is on this part here and on this part here, and you have these adapters, and you need to actually clamp them down, and you are going to do that with this part. You are going to take this cap. This gets really interesting, so you are going to remove that, and you have a hole, right? And you are going to, this gets very tricky. You are going to put this part here. Actually not. You are not going to put that because you already have one pre-installed inside. So this gets a lot more interesting. You are actually going to put the screw here, just like that. And now you are going to put this here. And this part here has two rolls, very important rolls. First one is when you are tightening this screw is going to tighten up the bearing here and this bearing here. You are crushing them, pushing them, and you are putting them on their place. Then you have these two screws here. These are going to clamp this on the steering part. So these two are going to hold this in place so it doesn't rotate freely, while this one here is going to adjust the bearing so they don't have any kind of play here. Otherwise, now if I am just going to take this out and I'm going to lift this part out, the bearings and the front part here will just going to get out and fall down. So very important to take care of that. Use the screw and lock them in place. And of course, we should be able to do that with one of the provided hex keys. So it seems that I have managed to get a proper one. And there is going to be a lot of spinning until this one actually catches the mechanism inside and is going to clamp down the bearings. Also, before you are doing that completely, also take a look at this front fork, which is not rotated in the correct position. So be sure that you are going to do that correctly. So also take into consideration where the wires are going and the brake line. So I'm going to rotate it that way. Should be fine now. Let's check it out. Looks to be in proper position now. And another important thing is that this part should be pointed towards or forwards, not backwards. Some people are going to say that being this way it's better because the handlebar is closer to you. Don't do that, because that can install a lot of problems, and those problems can actually make you crash the bike. So let's put this on. Be sure that the bearings are lined up properly. And then you are going to need to remove all of these so the handlebar can go into this position like that. So let's do that right now. Of course, using the provided hex keys that we got. So one is out and another one is out. As you can see, I have not tightened this up yet because I also want to center the handlebar on the front fork so it's straight. And the last screw remaining, and we have taken this out. The screws might come out a bit hard because some of them have Loctite on them, which is a good thing because when you are going to put them back, they are going to be very tight and they are not going to loose while you ride the bike. Another important thing is here, you might not be able to actually fix this without removing one of these spacers. You actually have to. You can leave the bike with one, or you can remove both of them, and that is going to adjust the height of the stem, so you can fix your handlebar higher or lower depending on that. So I'm just going to remove one ring here, and that should be enough for this to actually go into place. And if I want the handlebar lower, I can take another spacer out. Also, don't overdo this screw because this is just adjusting the bearings, so you really need to be able to move this easy, but it shouldn't have any kind of play into it. So just check out so it doesn't have any play, and when that is sorted, you are going to use these two screws to hold it in place so it doesn't rotate other than rotating the wheel. So this should be fine. There is no play here. So now I can start to turn this in, but that only works with the other provided hex key, probably this one. Yes, that's perfect. And now we are clamping this, but I'm not going to overdo it because, as I've told you before, the handlebar might not be perfectly perpendicular to the wheel, so you might adjust that later. But for now, this is okay. And now I'm going to put the handlebar on. You don't need more than 3 or 4 hands, so you need one hand to hold the clamp, another hand to hold on the screws, and another one to hold the handlebar. And after that, someone is going to hold this. You are going to put this part here, and with your fourth hand you are going to start to screw this in. And as you can see, I'm not using any kind of tools because these are made out of alloy, so it's very easy to cross thread them. So you need to actually get them into position by hand, and only after you put them in you are going to be allowed to tighten them up. But I'm not going to tighten them up because there are 4 of them, so I'm just putting them in to hold the handlebar, while I'm going to put the others also by hand so I don't destroy the threads. And of course I'm going to be sure that this is going to stay in the correct position, something like that, which should be very nice and comfortable for your rides. Of course you are going to adjust those on your first ride, but that's not a problem. It's nice that you can actually adjust this. So go in just like that. Further on, we are going to install the seat post because that's going to help us with the install further on. That's very easy. You have this screw here, you have this clamp here, so the clamp is going to go over this pipe and you are going to use one of the provided keys. So this goes like that, and when it goes like that, you are going to tighten up this screw with the provided key. Again, don't overdo it because you are going to adjust the angle of this, because it's an adjustable seat, so you can actually adjust the angle, and you can also adjust this going something like in the back or in the front, as it can slide on this a bit. So when this is loose, you can adjust this to better suit your riding position. It's a bit harder to show on camera, but this is actually easier to do it on the bike. So as you can see, this slides like that. So you can actually adjust it as you want it to be, to have a better position. After you install the seat post and it's a bit held into position, but not very tight because you are going to adjust that, you can now flip the bike upside down, because it's going to make it a lot more easier to install the front wheel and the front brake, because the front brake it's actually not installed. So you are going to put this onto the seat and onto the handlebar. Be sure that you don't scratch the display, destroy something else. And now we are going to remove this. Let me show you. We are going to remove this and install the front wheel. That is also, of course, very easy to do. Alright, and we have this protection here. This is for transport, so the front fork doesn't get bent, destroyed. So we are going to use the provided hex key and remove this. And it goes like that on this side and also on this side. Alright, and when this is loose, we can take all this thing out. Now I'm going to prepare the front wheel, and to do that I'm going to remove this cap here, and on the other side I have this that I'm going to remove. And now we need to prepare the skewer. The skewer is very easy to use. You are going to remove this on this part here, and you have two springs. The springs are going to stay that way, so you are going to remove one spring. So one spring, one nut. The other things are going to remain on this side. And then it doesn't matter on what side you are wanting to install this. You can put this on, but you have the disc on this position here, on this part here, because here you have the parts where the brake caliper is going to be installed. But this doesn't matter the position that you are going to install it to, but I'm going to install it this way, so it goes from the other side around, because there is more space on that side, because on this part here we are going to have the brake. So we are going to put the spring here, careful not for it to jump around, and we are going to put here the locking nut. So this is going to be the clamp here released. We are going to tighten this up, not extremely, and then we are going to check that this clamp is going to be tight. For now this is too tight, so I'm going to release this a bit and try it again. Now it's too loose, so I'm going to tighten it a bit again. So you need to get into the correct position. So now it's tight, secured, but not overdid. So now we have to install the brake caliper. The brake caliper goes in very easy. We have the screws here included. We need to take them off so we can install this. Again, using the provided tools, we can easily remove these. They also have Loctite on them, so they are going to be very secure when you decide to put them on the correct position that they are going to remain to. So we are going to take them out. It's an interesting thing that they haven't installed this, and I can tell you why. Because it's much more easier to install the, sorry about that, it's much more easier to install the front wheel with the disc when you don't have any kind of caliper installed. So it's easier to install the caliper after that. It's an interesting approach. It gives you a bit more work to do, but it's easier work than trying to figure it out while why the front wheel doesn't want to go in. And just like that, now you need to get this into proper position, just like that. And we can put the screws back. One is in the correct position, and now I'm going to use the other one. It's a bit more fiddly to do, but as I've told you, it's easier this way than trying to put the front wheel while you have the caliper on. Nonetheless, it's a good approach to make things easier with adding another step. So this is almost perfect. I can adjust this a bit later, and now I can tighten up the caliper, and the front wheel and the front brake are now installed into the correct position. To adjust it, as you can see, it has a bit of noise there. I can release a bit the cable for now, just a bit, and we'll later tune the brake a bit more. As you can see, it's much more better. Not perfect yet, but it's going to be. Now we can flip the bike back into its normal position because it has wheels and it has a kickstand already installed, so we can actually fix the rear mudguard. That is very easy because on that lower part there it's already fixed. We need to fix it here and then use this to fix it here. Further on, if we want to additionally install the rear rack, that gets more interesting because we have this. So this one should fit something like that on those screws that are pre-installed. And then it gets interesting because we have this part here, that this should be something like going from here to there, so it holds this in place. So it goes just like that. Looks complicated on the camera, but this screw here, it's actually holding the mudguard with this part here, with this bracket, and the bracket is going to hold the rear rack, and the rear rack is going to be held by those screws, while the mudguard is held by these screws here. So on both of the sides of the bike we have screws here and here that are going to hold these metal wires. Not very complicated, but you have a bit of work to do to fully screw in all of that. To make things a bit easier, I'm going to use a power tool, which I don't recommend. You have all the parts needed in the toolbox. In the tool bag you have all the needed keys, hex keys, and so on. I don't recommend you using power tools because you can damage threads very easy on this type of material. So that is out. Then here is going to be a bit more troubling because you have an eye lock and another nylock. So nylocks don't get out unless you have something to counter them. So you need to keep a counter on them and use a key here. Again, all the tools that you get with the bike work on this, so you can actually install them, take them out, and so on. You get everything included. And for instance, if I want to take this screw out, I need to do something like that, hold it in one part and take it out from the other part, and only now I can actually access this screw with the provided washers. To install the rear rack, it's simple. You are going to put the bracket something like this. You are going to use the screw. It goes like this, screw, washer. So you have washer here, the screw. These are going to pass through this and through the bike frame. And on the other side where it gets out, when it gets out, it's a bit more complicated. You can actually use your power tool, which I told you not to use. So it goes on the other side, and then on the other side here, where you are not going to see on the camera, you are going to use the washer and then the pairing nylock. So you are going to put that, and the nylock is going to go in with the hand a bit until it reaches the locking part, and now it's locked. And now you are going to use the included key here. You are going to hold that and you are going to tighten this up. It's going to take you a century to install. It's not a problem, it's just a patient problem. And you're also going to take care so that the mudguard is installed in the correct position, so it's not too lowered. And that's how this thing gets installed. Also, you are going to install the rear parts of the metal mudguard here and here. And now you are going to take this screw out. So you are going to again hold it with the provided key here and use the hex key on the other side, because this is also a nylock. And you are going to get two washers. Let me show you. So you are going to get two washers, a nylock and a screw. Right, and you are going to put this on, and you are going to put the side screws to hold it in place that you have previously taken off. The simple ones with just one screw and one washer. So these are going to go into their own position, again just by using your hand, no force, no power tool, because we don't want to break the frame material. Right, okay, so they are holding on, and now you are going to fix this very easy. You are going to use the screw with one washer, and you are going to keep the washer and the nylock in your hand. So this goes in like that. This goes from the top, and then you are going to put the washer underneath. You don't need only 3 hands, and then you are going to put the nut, the nylock. So this gets more interesting, and I managed to fix it. So this stays in place. That is good. Something like that. And then you are going to use the tools. You are going to hold the nylock, and you are able to tighten this up by using the hex key. So this is going to lock this part here on the top. Now this is locked. it's already much more stable. And now you are going to tighten up the sides. Just like that. So this is now secured, and on the other side as well. And this is also secured, and the rear mudguard and the rear rack are now properly installed, because I have also fixed this and also on the other part as well. And there are only a few finishing touches that we need to do. So we need to install the front mudguard, and that's very easy because it's the same procedure. We have this bracket here, we have the metal wires, and we can choose the way this goes in, something like that. I'm going to put this from the behind part. We have this screw here, this is going to go down. We have a screw here and on the other side as well. Then we are also going to fix the headlamp. Headlamp is very easy to fix. It has this bracket, you take this screw out. Again, we have an eye lock, so you need to hold the counter on this part, take it out from this part, or the reversed if it's easier for you. So this is going to stay here, and I'm going to put this bracket on the back of this plate here because it looks better and is the way that I want it to. So this is going to be like that. So we are going to do that. Then we are going to install the pedals, and last but not least we still have to install the throttle, which is going to be interesting because we already have here the pre-installed wire with the cap here. I'm going to take the cap out. Look at that, such a beauty. Too bad not to install this. Of course this should be banned if you are in the EU, because this is very dangerous, because you can actually go to work without pedaling and not get all way perspired so that your colleagues will smell you all day long. So no, we don't use that in the European Union. It's too bad. You need to pedal to work, get there full of sweat, let everyone smell you. So after some fiddling around, we have the front mudguard installed. So we have the screw here holding the headlamp, we have the bracket there held in place, we have the noise lock here in the rear. And now we are going to prepare the throttle. The throttle is very easy to install. You have this screw here, and luckily this is a clamp type, so when you are going to remove this screw, this opens up, so you don't have to take everything out of your handlebar to insert this. You're just going to open the clamp, and it's going to go like this. So it has space here to clamp, so you can actually press it when you are riding, so you can accelerate. And then you are going to put the screw into the position that it closes up the clamp. It takes a bit of fiddling until the screw matches the integrated nut on the other side, but eventually it's going to do that, and this is going to be held up in place. Then all we have to do is to connect to the plug that is already included here. You take the cap off, which I have already taken out, and here, let me zoom in. You have a dedicated position, as you can see, and here is the throttle plug. So you have this small part here that goes in this part here. So be sure to mesh them correctly, otherwise you are going to break the pins or destroy the plugs. And now I'm going to connect it, and I have throttle installed. Then you can also take this spiral here out. This is very easy to do, and then we can put the spiral over the throttle wire so they all sit nice and tidy here. just like that. As you can see, it's not very hard to set up this bike, but it's a lot to do. It's a bit fiddly, but I like it. It's like a hobby. You have something to do. It's nice and pleasant. You spend some relaxing time with it. You get to know each other, and then you can actually ride it. And just like that, we have throttle installed, wire is here, tucked away, everything looking nice and stock. Look at that, just beautiful. And we are almost over, so we need to install the pedals. That's not rocket science. We have here a very interesting thing. It's an R and shows the arrow here. That's because a lot of people sadly are still cross-threading pedals in 2024. So you can see here on the pedal we have an R and shows us a sign. So it's as easy as just threading it that way, and it should go in very easy. If it doesn't go easy in, you are cross-threading and destroying the pedal threads. So this one is going in nice and easy, and then you are going to use the provided key to tighten it up. You can also use this method, hold it by your hand, and now it's almost fully tightened up. And then the other one has reverse thread. Again, you have signs on the pedal and on the crank arm to install it properly. And as simple as that, the HillMiles bike is now installed and it should work. So if I press this power button on here, there you go, that's the battery level, and I can choose the assist modes. It should work right away. And we are going to put it to the test, so I'm going to fully charge it and then go out for a full review. So be sure to follow my next uploads where you are going to see this bike in action, and I'm going to tell you some secrets about it because it's very interesting to find out some things about it. Until then, see you and bye bye. And don't forget to put this rubber cap back so it also looks nice.